as Universal Studios continues its march towards world theme park domination with the announcement of Universal Studios United Kingdom. Disney, only a few days following Universal's game-changing announcement, has responded with its own series of announcements to celebrate Disneyland Paris' 33rd anniversary. And to the delight of many, the company announced a ride based on the Disney Pixar 2009 film Up, but that initial high was short-lived as people were then presented with exactly what this ride actually was, and all that enthusiasm left the room like the hot air inside of a balloon. Let's talk about Disney's de facto response to Universal Studios United Kingdom with their upcoming Up-inspired swing ride attraction headed to Disney Adventure World here on That Park Place. We've talked about Universal UK and how this park promises to change the game. I mean, look, Universal, well, you know what? They, to quote John Hammond, they spare no expense when it comes to a lot of the theme park projects. It's just incredible. I mean, we got Back to the Future right here, Jurassic World, 007. We've got trademarks being filed. We've got Halloween Horror Nights supposedly coming to this place. It all looks absolutely incredible. And this was, I think it made its debut in terms of its announcement, I thought, last Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. Well, on Saturday, it was the 33rd anniversary of Disneyland Paris. You know, that one theme park resort that wasn't quite as successful as the company might have wanted it to be. And unfortunately, they were forced to double down. Within 10 years, they had to build a new park or they would lose that land. So what they do, they built the Walt Disney Studios Paris Park, which everybody says is the worst theme park ever constructed in the history of Disney theme parks, which was unfortunate. But it was to save the land there that Disney wanted to preserve. Not like they did in Hong Kong, which they failed to build within a certain time frame. Looked for an extension. China said no, and they lost that land. Now occupied by, well, some kind of camp that you don't want to be in. Just put it that way. But they did come out. Oh, go ahead, Jonas.
No, I forgot about I forgot to concentrate.
yeah, it's one of those camps. But hey, you know what? Walt Disney Studios Paris has had a significant level of investment. I believe they announced a €2 billion investment into that park back in 2018, and then COVID happened, and it was like, ooh, pump the brakes. let's pause a lot of this stuff. But they did recently get back on the spending train, and they announced with it a new name, now Disney Adventure World, which, not the greatest name on the planet, but they now have instead of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, they have a Lion King dark ride. We've covered that before here on That Park Place. They now have, it's a log flume, but they have Adventures Campus, which was a repeat of what DCA got, and the World of Frozen, which was basically a repeat of what Hong Kong got. And they're doing the repeats again, but not in the way that people might be overly enthused. So this was the announcement on April 12th, 2025. Again, the 33rd anniversary. And you can see right here, Disneyland Paris released construction updates, Disney Adventure World, and more. If you scroll down right here, a lot of this is basically expanding on what they've already announced. The one new thing they did announce, and again, this was the first announcement of a new ride post Universal UK being announced, was what you're seeing on screen right now. A new Up ride. Not an Up dark ride. An Up-inspired flat ride.
I think that's kind of funny, by the way. An Up-inspired flat ride.
That's terrible. There's even more coming to the resort's second park when Adventure Way opens as part of Disney Adventure World. Just today, Disney Paris announced an all-new family-friendly attraction that will complete the lush landscape of Adventure Way in the future, located right across from the previously announced Rapunzel. It's basically the French Rapunzel tangled spin. Okay, now, stuff like this exists in many European parks across that nation right there. And maybe it's not so ill-conceived as putting in a log flume in the middle of Paris, where it's only really going to be getting used 4 months out of the year. But still, you're going to go with this. Now, people might, be familiar with this type of spin ride, or a swing ride, I should say, because, well, Disney itself installed a swing ride in the 2001 version of DCA. What you're seeing on screen right now is when they reinvigorated, at the time, Paradise Pier with a big level of investment for the 2012 redo of this park right here. Originally, this swing ride was located in the Orange Stinger. Again, making its debut in 2001. So we're copying the homework of one of the worst parks in one of the worst times in the company's history. Jonas, make it make sense.
Just they're taking something from the second worst park and putting it into the first worst park. So you know, at least they're moving in the right direction here. You know, I can see how something like this would have charm. Of course, that Disney Adventure World title is, you know, I think I went on a long rant on a stream one time about how Disney overuses the word adventure. You know, I had a long rant about the Indiana Jones Adventure Temple of the Forbidden Eye, or the Adventure Temple of the Crystal Skull, Adventureland Treehouse, Tiana's
Star Tours, The Adventures Continue.
Exactly. Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, American Adventure, Ratatouille Adventure, Spider-Man Adventure, Little Mermaids Undersea Adventure, a musical adventure, not to mention. You know, it just goes on and on and on. It is theme park confetti. It's kind of like parsley. They just kind of stick it on there so that they have a title. I think it actually also indicates that probably Disney's California Adventure, or Disney California Adventure, whether or not that apostrophe is there today, that they're probably going to end up renaming that park in the long run. We see more about the way Disney operates here than we actually think about a fun time at a theme park here.
Yes, and the theme for this entire show, by the way, if you guys haven't picked up on it, is the disparate amount of spending that they spend towards their entertainment divisions, like $645 million on Andor, or what is it, $30 billion on content spend 2 years in a row. Meanwhile, they've only dedicated themselves to turbocharging the parks to the tune of $60 billion over 10 years. $4 billion on the Robert A. Iger building. Again, for every single dollar spent in all these different avenues, it's less spent in the parks. And this is why we're getting this. We're not getting a $4 billion Robert A. Iger building or things lined with gold, apparently, in that building for how much that costs. We're not getting, $645 million worth of production money for 2 seasons of a Star Wars show that nobody watched in terms of the same output for the theme parks. Oh, no. We're getting flat rides. We're getting almost nothing. We're getting copies of what has come before, especially in the form of Disney Adventure World and what they're getting. Jonas, this is a theme park company. The theme parks alone, the experiences division contributes to what? I mean, anywhere between nowadays, it's more like 60 to 70% of overall operating income. Why do they continue to refuse to spend money, especially for Disneyland Paris, when Universal United Kingdom is coming? It's almost like Epic Universe all over again.
Yeah, they've got another. They've got competition coming. We've known about Universal UK for 10 years now. You know, that kind of thing. And we responded with Lion King ride, a Lion King Splash Mountain, which is a retheme of, well, Splash Mountain and Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Apparently, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, they've learned their lesson there. Apparently, with Galaxy's Edge, they've also learned their lesson there. It's kind of interesting because the Paris park has its own financial silo off from the U.S. park. And I don't mind that they're putting in an up-themed flat ride. That in and of itself doesn't bother me as a single data point. But this seems like they need to be focusing on bigger and better things. Also, they're announcing things way too early. With Epic Universe, they were dropping like video after video talking about how amazing this theme park was going to be. And the concept art matched the final product. So as small as this looks creatively, and what's a wonderful skyline that they've painted in the background here. I wonder if it'll look like that whenever I get around to it. Probably won't. I don't see this actually even happening on the scale that it is happening here. Even though we've seen other versions of it. I don't know. I've just lost faith in the Disney company's ability to execute.
And if you don't know what Jonas might be talking about when it comes to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, remember there was going to be a Star Wars Galaxy's Edge for Disney Adventure World. At that time, it was still called Walt Disney Studios Paris. This was announced back in February 2018 right here. That's what they were going to go forward with. And like Jonas was saying before, it may be a little bit too early because, well, obviously things changed as soon as Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland opened in 2019, and then later on in Walt Disney World right there. They got the numbers back and said, "Ooh, you know what? Maybe this wasn't the best investment to make." And then they changed tact with Disneyland Paris. And even Disneyland Paris's version of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge wasn't going to be as robust as maybe the billion-dollar versions out there in the States. And it was only going to have Rise of Resistance, was going to omit Millennium Falcon completely, and then we went with, instead of all of that, The Lion King, which was, a 31-year-old property at this point, and didn't cost $4.4 billion to acquire. And now we have this. These theme park investments, the way they're managing this division of the company that has been historically so profitable for them and really is carrying the load when it comes to the entire company. I mean, you're not getting that from broadcast television or linear assets anymore, not when people are turning the cord to the extent that they are. Disney Plus is still struggling in order to even make a profit. It's all coming from the theme park division, and yet they refuse to spend money on this. But hey, you know what? We'll spend 3 times the price that it actually takes for an office complex in New York City with the Robert A. Iger building. We'll spend $645 million on a show that nobody has ever watched. Maybe hundreds of millions on Daredevil, where nobody watched that either. It's just over and over and over again. The parks get less and less. All the other divisions within the company get more and more. And meanwhile, you have a lot of people saying, you know what? Maybe I'll go to Epic this time instead of Walt Disney World.
Yep. Very good point. Great job, Vash.
Thank you. Very much appreciate that. We have Mr. Blue Sky right here. As VR says, it's the flywheel. Yes, the flywheel. I think culture referred to this as well. The flywheel of it all kind of starts from the studio, right? And then these things fly out in terms of merchandise, consumer products, retail, which is kind of all the same thing, honestly. And in theme parks, right? All that kind of stuff. Well, if your creative division is not very good, well, the parks suffer. But here's the thing. Even with the creative division or the entertainment division not doing that well, you can still have theme park investments that take advantage of over 100 years of IP. There should be no problem in getting stuff set up and executing it well and getting people in these parks. If you had talented Imagineers and you had, the right budgets, you can do that. Unfortunately, that's not what is happening. They're just spending money in one place and taking money from another in order to pay for it.
Yep.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.